Hi, guys, and welcome to a very special podcast with CMTrading. I'm joined by Charlie Charalambous, our head of IBs at CMTrading Partners, as well as a very special guest, Titi Oyinsan, writer, producer, anchor of Women's Wealth. CMTrading's very own Fred Razak and Titi are partnering up to tell us all about finance, online trading, and just make us all better traders. Titi, why don't you tell us about the upcoming show?
Thank you so much for having me, Sergio. So as a TV producer, I've always been passionate about creating content,
Yeah.
information that can educate, empower people. But I had this motivation to push for this particular type of show on financial literacy for women because I had a conversation with a lady who sells plantain and fish. And this is a
Okay.
delicacy that is it's such a hit in her part of town, and
Right.
she has cars queuing up round the block. But guess what? She didn't have any investments. She couldn't send her
Oh,
kids to the school she wanted them to go to. She couldn't get herself new clothes. But guess what? She's selling out so well. And it just occurred to me that she didn't understand how to manage the amount of money she was making.
I
So she
see.
was still living hand to mouth. So there's just little nuggets of information that women, African women, just don't have access to. They have the basics of, buy and sell, but then after that, what happens next? So there are quite a few people with this kind of challenge, and it
Yeah.
does feel like women get the short end of the stick when it comes to education, especially with regards trading, opportunities that exist online, and starting a business. So Women's Wealth has something for everyone. We're going to explore loads of the latest trends, best practices, hopefully celebrate the achievements of some great women who've turned some great dreams into reality,
That's
and of
amazing.
course, train people. We really need to get people trained, educated
Yeah.
on how to make the best of their money.
That sounds amazing. Charlie, in your experience, do you think there's still a disparity with regards to, male and female, in online trading?
Um, that's a good question, and it obviously clearly puts me on the spot. Um, I would you class as an old-fashioned feminist. I totally believe in equality, and I think there probably is culturally in the African continent.
Sure.
But I definitely think in the world we live in today, there shouldn't be, and it's all about awareness. And this program is about how to create awareness and
Right.
and give equal opportunity to people irrespective of gender.
Mm.
Yeah, I think, one of the cornerstones of CM trading is, trading is for everyone, but I think that also applies to, all things in finance. Titi, in your experience, what do you think are some of the biggest issues with regards to, starting a business and say managing a business?
Obviously the first one most people mention is capital, but
Right.
then again, as soon as capital comes into play, do people actually understand how to manage it? And in the end, the time frame for even acquiring such capital, by the time the money even comes in, inflation might have set in. You might not even be able to achieve all you hope to achieve with that same amount of money you applied for probably a year ago. Then there's this issue of trust. Even if you don't go to a corporate body or a bank or a financial institution to borrow money, and it's
Sure.
family and friends you go to, do they trust you enough to go the long haul? Now, weirdly, I saw some stats talking about how banks in Nigeria have a higher percentage of loans given out to women than
Oh, okay.
it was so strange. When I mentioned this to Charlie some time ago, and apparently it was because the women were most likely to pay back on time.
Oh, wow.
The women seem to. So it's not that the women are not making money; it's
Right.
just how are they managing it. And I did mention when we've had a conversation once before. Now, as at 2022, majority of women, about maybe 30 to 40%, said their primary financial goal was saving for retirement.
Right.
But now, moving into 2023, it's leaning more towards just covering basic expenses. With this issue of inflation all over.
I was about to say, I think it's a reflection on, high inflation and high interest rates, and I guess the whole economy teetering on recession.
True. But I don't have all the facts regarding whether the recession has actually set in yet. But the alarm bells are also discouraging people from making any big money moves. Don't you think?
I think, I'll put this question to Charlie because, you hear this topic all the time about startups and, starting a new business. But, given the economic, situation, how difficult is it to start your own business, Charlie?
In today's environment, I think it's tough for a multitude of reasons. The first one is clearly, as Titi already mentioned, you need startup capital, and most individuals always underestimate how much money or capital they're going to require. And in today's environment, where do you get that capital from?
Right.
The bank's not going to lend you as easily as they would have done, say, 5 to 10 years ago, because of the inflationary pressures and et cetera, et cetera. But also, I think having a good idea is very important. You could be sitting there, we could come up with lots of ideas for a business, but there's so much research, competition out there and whatever. It makes it really difficult to succeed. And so therefore, most organizations, most businesses that start up, you've got to mentally imagine it's going to take you at least 18 months to 2 years before you start seeing a profit. And that's if you're good. And so therefore, as a result, what happens, it puts people off.
Sure.
So that's probably, the reason. Do I have a good idea? And where do I get the capital from? That's important.
I think, this at this juncture, why don't you tell us more about the IB program? Because, if anything, the last few years have shown us that, the traditional workplace, it's not as secure as it used to be. Freelancing is booming, working from home, alternative, sources of income, it's all available as opposed to your regular 9 to 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I think what COVID did and lockdown and everything else, it accelerated the inevitable in the sense that, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, if you worked in a bank, you were there for life. You'd have people that worked there for 30 to 40 years. And you mentioned pensions earlier on as well. And so therefore, if you worked in that bank for 30 to 40 years, you'd retire on a decent pension. Now, for a number of different reasons, whether it's the baby boom, et cetera, there are more people living longer nowadays, and therefore, as a result, it requires more capital to fund retirement. And it's not just having a supplementary income or working for yourself today, there is a massive drive for people to work for themselves. Okay. But secondly is, you can't rely on the state to provide you with an income and that financial security because they just don't have the money. Okay, so our IB program, or as I define it as an introducing business program, I prefer to call it a partnership.
Okay.
A partnership, by definition, is where 2 or more people join forces with a common objective. And ultimately, in this case, is to achieve a successful business. So what we provide, and it's a proven model, it's a model that's been around for 10 years now, is you don't have to think of the idea, because we provide it.
Right.
And secondly, you don't need any capital. What you need is desire and ambition in order to help yourself. Because what we do is we reward people for introducing clients to our company. in the form of a share payment, a revenue share, a commission.
Right.
So the more people refer, by definition, they'll get paid more and more commission. But the good thing about the partnership program is the income you will earn is as a result of the amount of trading that your clients do. So the more they trade, the more
sure.
income you earn, or income earned for the long term. It's not a one-off payment. So in essence, what you're doing is commercializing your social network. We have a group of people that you know, and most people are now on social media, etc. If you look at the number of people you know, we know for a fact that a large percentage of those people will be trading with a company or whatever. What we do is allow people the opportunity to start their own business, and all they have to do is refer clients to us, and we take care of the rest. And in return for that, we share the revenue that's generated from those clients.
Sure. Sounds like a great opportunity.
I've
Titi, what do
been-
you...
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to
No,
just
no, no. Yeah, go
piggyback
for
on
it.
what he was saying. So the truth is, we recommend things to people every day. We recommend deodorant. We recommend a new coffee we tasted. We recommend, a particular, maybe phone or processing system or Wi-Fi.
Right.
We recommend things to people every day.
Sure.
But the thing is, what you recommend to people on an average, 3 or 4 times a day, you're not getting paid for it. So why not actually monetize your recommendations?
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, look, I'm probably going to have a 5-minute conversation with someone in the office, small talk. Why waste my small talk? Why spend money on data on my phone forwarding useless cat videos? And why not send them something that can actually be financially viable for them?
Right.
So at least I'm giving myself the opportunity to earn from that data that's been spent on my phone, that time I spent having a conversation with you, which I could probably be watching Friends or Mr. Bean. But the thing
Good
is, I
shows.
spent that time with you. Let's make it financially viable. Let's make it worth my while, and also create an actual business structure at the same time.
Well, you say financially viable, and I'll put this question to both you and Charlie. Can you actually make a living from, becoming an IB?
Do you want me to go first?
Go. Sure. No, just go for it.
100%. 100%. I've already mentioned this is a proven model. We in different industries they go by the term affiliate.
Right.
If you're with Amazon, they will pay you to bring clients. Your bank will pay you if you refer clients to open an account. Most companies do that nowadays because it's a way of leveraging on their existing client base, and this is all it is as well. As I said, it's a proven model. I have partners. I prefer to call them partners across Africa and in Nigeria that do this full time because they realize that they're in control, and that's very important, being in control, because you if you work for an organization, they decide how much you get paid, because they value you, not what you think you're worth. They value what you're worth to them. 2, they decide when you get promoted, and 3, etc., etc. Whereas here, you got that control because you can decide how much effort you want to put into this,
Right.
and it's simple as that.
What you put in, you get out.
100%, and you can expand your partnership program in 2 ways. You can network with the people that you know, but a lot of my clients and partners do online social media marketing and generate businesses that way. So of course, the harder you work, the more you get out, and it's meritocratic in that it will pay you based on your results. The more you bring, the more you get paid.
All right.
Well, Titi, how important is it to grab, as Charlie mentioned, grabbing your own financial independence, especially in, Africa and Nigeria?
That word, importance. So from a woman's perspective, a lot has been hinged on how a woman settles down.
Right.
And it's reliant on the men in her life, whether they're elder brothers, cousins, uncles, husbands, spouses.
Right.
And there have been too many sad stories about women who've lost spouses, maybe due to illness or whatever, and had no idea what he had in the bank, no idea how he was covering, the mortgage or
Yeah.
covering the basic bills.
Just making ends meet.
And he used to do everything, basically. And that story is something that just keeps happening on and on. Then there are also other cultural issues that we've even mentioned in women's wealth already, where there are some cultures that take everything that the man invested in the house or in the home, everything down to his boxers. They take it from the woman and basically cast her out with the mindset that she probably had something to do with the fact that their son no longer exists.
Wow.
Which is, so it sounds hard, but I'm putting it lightly. So it's become more and more important for women to understand finances, understand investments, understand how to manage their own money, understand what money actually means, and have a lot more control over their own finances. So it even goes so far, culturally speaking, that they assume that even anything in the woman's bank account was provided by the man.
Wow.
Yeah. So in other words, if he opened a boutique for her and she sells clothes, he invested in that business, so he owns all the profits. So he was their son. So everything their son did for you becomes the family's. You probably, if you ask any Nigerian friends you have around, they'll tell you this is how it's been going on for decades. And it's a sad case, but women their eyes are opening. They're beginning to understand a lot more now. And with shows like Women's Wealth, we're educating women as much as we can on what they need to know to make sure that they're not just living paycheck to paycheck or relying on the men, as harsh as it sounds. So that's from this perspective. Maybe awesome. Charlie has another perspective.
No, I agree with you. We've spoken about this at length, and I see the problem. Living in a Western society, it's more in your face. It's an issue, and I think it's really important that they have, people have, as I said earlier on, irrespective of gender or race or whatever, have an equal opportunity to form their own, create wealth in the short term and long term, and being, as I said, having that control. I think it's important. It's an admirable cause.
It is. It is.
And on that note, Titi, when can we expect to see the upcoming show?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, Women's Wealth is set to begin in May.
Awesome.
It's set to begin in May, and we hope for it to continue after that. And we have some really interesting topics. The role of social cultural norms is how we're going to begin to touch on things, which I've given you a little insight into today.
Yeah, you have.
We're going to talk about compounding interest. We're going to talk about long-term goals, basics of personal finance, budgeting, saving, investing. We're going to take all those topics bit by bit and essentially spoon feed people with information they need to know. And we're also going to go a bit further and put out a QR code that people can scan immediately that can redirect them to where they can get more information about CMTrading.
Excellent.
And where our team can have conversations with them. So even if it's just advice they need, if it's just someone to talk to for understanding of how the money markets work, we'll be able to help them with that. So this it's a holistic view, but May is our starting point, by God's grace.
Excellent. And I wish you the best of luck, Titi. And to both of you, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Outstanding. Can't wait to
Thank
chat to
you.
you again.
Can't
you,
wait,
Sergio.
can't wait.
Goodbye.